One way to build a better business climate for cattle producers and to protect and enhance demand for beef is to deliver the best product possible to consumers. But how important is quality to chefs and other culinary professionals? We sent Clark Price, a North Dakota cattle producer and chair of the Federation of State Beef Councils, to Arizona to find out.
I'm Clark Price. I'm the current chair of the Federation of State Beef Councils, and I'm here with Dr. Travis O'Quinn with Kansas State University and Chef Ryan Clark from PY Steakhouse, where we're here at the Casino del Sol in Tucson, Arizona. Travis, I think we'll go with you, and you've done some research as far as eating quality, product quality. What have you learned when it comes to the consumer's eating experience?
Absolutely. We've done a lot of research related to consumer preferences for beef and how eating quality impacts that. When we look at that, it's really changed over time. It's been very interesting to see how consumer preferences for beef and how what they're putting emphasis on have changed. If we went back to the early 1990s, tenderness was the biggest driver of beef eating satisfaction, and we would have said tenderness is the most important trait. Preference for tenderness being the most important trait has really shifted within consumers. Today, our consumers actually will tell us flavor's the most important trait that actually drives their eating satisfaction. And because of that, a lot of the research we've conducted have really been focused on beef flavor.
Interesting. So Chef Ryan, you're the one that puts the flavor into flavor.
We do. I mean, flavor and texture are really important for our guests. You know, they want to have a great, incredible experience here. Being a steakhouse, we can't hide, right? Beef is what it's all about. So, you know, sourcing is very important to us. I think at a lot of really exceptional restaurants, you think about like farm to table, right? That fresh produce that comes in, the quality. It's no different if you're doing ranch to table. And one thing that we really try to do here at the casino is more of like the chef to ranch. Our guests are really excited to hear about beef, where it comes from, the sustainability behind it, and our sourcing.
Yeah, and it's really became, pretty important to our consumers today, right? To know where their food's coming from. I mean, they all kind of have an interest in what we do because most of them don't understand the ranching business. We've come a long ways in the last 30, 40 years on how we produce this product for our consumers to eat. And they've told us they want the high quality stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've found in a lot of our research is that if you're going to say, what can we do to increase eating quality overall? Well, for the most part, the magic bullet is marbling. There's really nothing we can do to make a more juicy, flavorful eating experience than have a high degree of marbling within those beef cuts. Chef, I had a question for you. When you get beef in and you're looking at a fresh cut of beef, what exactly are you looking for that your consumers seem to be really craving in those products?
Well, it's funny you ask that. We have a lot of guests that are kind of craving different cuts. So we're working with ranchers and butchers in town to get different cuts that you don't see on an everyday steakhouse. But it's really cool to have like a cool out on the menu or a hanger steak or a braising meat that maybe somebody hasn't had before, like a nice beef shank.
From a producer standpoint, it's important for me to know that the product that I'm producing is the product the consumer wants.
And ultimately, that's what it's all about. If the consumers have a good eating experience here and one of these wonderful steaks, it brings them back for more. And that's what ultimately drives a lot of demand, this end product, this interface between the consumers and what these great beef products hit the plates and meet their expectations for eating quality. That's what brings them back to the table for more and ultimately helps producers like you drive demand.
That's exactly right. I mean, food brings people into restaurants, right? Hospitality, in my opinion, brings them back. So I think with the hospitality component, having that education and sharing the story of beef is really kind of one of the key components to bringing guests back to the steakhouse or coming back to eat amazing beef. So I think that's a really good point.
Well, Ryan, we're talking about beef quality, right? And the beef checkoff has been around for decades doing work on consumers' experience, eating experience on beef. And you could probably talk to us, Travis, about the research that you've done over the years as far as, product quality and different things like that Beef Checkoff's funded.
Absolutely. We've done a lot of checkoff funded research in the product quality area. Some of the highlights from some of that was we talked about the importance of tenderness and flavor, but juiciness is another component. I think all of us have had a steak that's just been too dry. And so through checkoff dollars, we were able to develop a instrumental measure to estimate beef juiciness. We've also done multiple research projects that our State Beef Council has contributed to, whether those were projects that were funded solely by our State Beef Council or in conjunction with national checkoff dollars. Some of those projects have worked on some novel technologies to improve and speed up the freezing and thawing process, as well as projects that have actually evaluated some of the plant-based alternatives to beef that are actually in the marketplace.
We really need to make sure that we're satisfying the needs of the consumer so that they continue to come back time and time again to have our beef meal.
Absolutely. The current markets, and as we look ahead, we don't have the ability to fail. This steak, when a consumer purchases it, no matter the price point, can't fail to meet their eating expectations, because that's how you lose customers. And so beef continuing to be the product that consumers go to when they want to celebrate something in their lives, things that when they go to a fine establishment such as this is the center of the plate for them. Beef being able to deliver the tenderness, juiciness, and flavor that consumers have come to expect, it remains a critical piece of being able to continue to keep beef demand up.
So I'm going to use that as my secret recipe, right? When people ask you, how'd you make that so good? What did you do? I'll say, I didn't do anything. It was the research, right? Helped develop the program a little bit better. But no, I mean, it definitely helps us out, right? We can't start with the bad product. You know, you want to start with the best product that you possibly can, and that's how you get really good food, no matter what you're sourcing.
Well, I think the most important thing for a producer is that they got to take the credit for this quality of product, because they've really been the base of what made this product what it is today, because genetically and how things have changed over time, that we actually have a product that consumers are willing to pay a lot more for, because we get a better eating experience every time they sit down at the plate.
I agree with that, and I think that one of the key takeaways when we start talking about product quality is that this is everyone's responsibility, that it takes producers, packers, feeders, all the way to the end product users and chefs or even consumers at home to be able to guarantee that these beef products meet that expectation. There's things that can be done at each and every one of those levels that can both positively and negatively impact eating quality. And for us to be able to consistently deliver the level of eating expectation that these consumers expect, it takes work from all of us, and research has continued to be able to help drive that narrative, be able to identify practices at each of those levels that will help improve quality.
Well, thank you, Dr. Travis O'Quinn, for being here today and talking to us about the beef research that you've done on behalf of the Beef Checkoff, and Chef Ryan for inviting us down here to come have this great meal. And so let's dig into this food and enjoy a meal here with this steak on our plate.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.